In a world full of Avengers, one young man was clearly missing from the pack. Spider-Man was finally added to the Avengers circle, and we couldn't be happier. But how do you make a hero fresher when he's already had 2 previous iterations? Well, you give him a bit of the John Hughes magic, hire a talented lad who's skilled in gymnastics, parkour, and is also a dancer, and mix in a few things that made our list today. Before we get started on all new awesome stuff about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, be sure to swing on over to that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Spidey.
You're Spider-Boy?
Spider-Man.
The Spidey Suit. It's a ton of fun seeing Peter Parker create his own suit, especially the earlier versions of it. But now that Tony Stark is involved, it comes with certain advantages. The suit that Tom Holland gets to wear in Homecoming is geared with some awesome gadgets and features. The coolest part? The expressive eyes. Now with that in mind, most of it had to be CGI'd, right? According to Holland, about 90% of what is seen on screen is a practical suit that was touched up and made to look even more beautiful. Thought that was cool? Wait till you find out what Tom Holland did for the role in the next section. High school experience was real. Director John Watts sent Holland to Bronx High School of Science because it was similar to what school Peter was in. Holland was blown away by how hard the kids worked, how exhausted they were, and how smart they were, which is what he remembers from his own high school experience. For this experience, he went all out, donning a fake accent and name to blend in. He was even called on to do equations in front of the class, which was sometimes difficult. The experience of an American high school was great for him as it was so different to his all-boys school in London. Special undies under the suit. Obviously, the Spidey suit is a little bit tight, as it has to be, so Pete can move around easily and fight crime. So anything he wears underneath the suit can be visible. So what do you do to hide underwear lines? You don't wear undies, or you wear specialized undies like a thong, which is exactly what Holland did. Although he had his fair share of concerns, mainly if the thong would affect him permanently. Thankfully, it all turned out okay for Holland. We hope this doesn't ruin your image of Spider-Man as a badass. This fun fact is too good not to share with you, even if it did taint your image of Tom and Spidey forever. No unnecessary punches. Superheroes are known for their super strength and abilities, and most of them aren't afraid to use them to fight some baddies. Punches are sprinkled into superhero movies so casually that we don't really pay them any mind. And while Spider-Man is no stranger to using his strength to help out in some tough scenarios, this new Spidey isn't dishing them out like hotcakes. Holland stated that if someone is strong enough to lift a truck, chances are their punches could probably kill someone. So whenever he hits someone, it's by accident, and he apologizes profusely. This totally brings a youthful vibe into Spidey's fight scenes, don't you think? Youngest Peter Parker yet. Marvel has given us the youngest Peter at 15 years old, allowing us to see him in all of his angsty, nerdy, and super awkward glory. Spider-Man is just a teenager trying to figure out his powers, all while balancing being a high school student, friend, and superhero, as we saw in Civil War and Homecoming. Holland explained that the most important theme of the film is, what would a 15-year-old do with superpowers? We've already seen the gods, the billionaire, and the soldier. Now we have a young kid making mistakes and learning as he goes on. Holland's young age in real life also helps to sell this idea. Spidey Stunts. Holland's graceful demeanor as Spider-Man contrasts beautifully against his awkward Peter Parker, and it's all thanks to his classical dance training. He trained as a gymnast as a child and was also active in parkour running as a teen, but it's his ability to emote emotion through movement and dance that really sets this Spidey apart. There's an extra level of showmanship and entertainment in his movements. As far as stunts, there are many of them where that's actually Holland in the suit. He legally wasn't allowed to do all of them, but tried to do as many as he could. Pretty cool, right? Spidey's homage. Although Homecoming is a pretty feel-good movie throughout its entirety, there is one scene in particular that tugged on our heartstrings a bit. It's the scene where Pete hits a low point while stuck under an immense amount of rubble. This moment of self-doubt and later self-realization is both difficult and inspiring to watch. But did you know that this scene is straight out of the 1963 comic book The Amazing Spider-Man number 33? This showed that Pete is worthy of his suit and is heroic all on his own. Let's hope that there are more scenes paying homage to moments directly in the comics in the next films. Stayed true to his Queen's roots. When we think of Spider-Man, we're instantly flooded with images of him swinging from building to skyscraper all through Manhattan. And we don't blame you. Anytime we think of New York, we think of Manhattan. This time around, production keeps him in Queens. He's aspiring to be an Avenger, and the Avengers Tower is across the river in Manhattan. That's where his goal is, and he has to work up to it. He's not swinging through skyscrapers just yet, as he's still unsure of his powers. We have to remember that he's just a kid figuring it all out after all. Spidey and John Hughes. When rebooting a film series that already has a reboot, you have to think even more creatively. Kevin Feige wanted the new Spider-Man film's characters to have a John Hughes feel to them, and since Spider-Man is first and foremost a coming-of-age story, who better to look to than the master of teen films? His influence can best be seen in the high school environment that goes beyond physical stereotype and roots its humor in the great characters. The cast had to watch John Hughes movies, of course, like Watts' favorite Say Anything. We think this worked out wonderfully. Holland is the Spider-Man that feels the most like an actual high school student, don't you? Spidey finally has a clear goal. We have now had 3 iterations of Spider-Man on the big screen, and each one has brought a different personality to the teenage webhead. Along with personalities, each one had different goals, or rather, some unclear goals and doubts. But this time around, Spider-Man has a sense of direction. The existence of the Avengers gives the web-slinger a clear-cut goal, and that's to become a full-time Avenger. Everything he does is to prove himself to Tony Stark. This Spider-Man isn't a lone wolf protector. He wants to join the superhero pack, which gives us a whole different kind of Spidey, and we absolutely love it.
Gotta say, that's awesome.
Well, there you have it, friends. What did you think about these facts surrounding Tom Holland's Spider-Man? Best Spider-Man yet? Or is someone else your favorite? Are there any that we may have missed? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.